So these are a series of questions on integral health. The first question is, what is integral health? Now, the word integral has been used in the context of yoga by Sri Aurobindo. Subsequently, words like integral health, integral psychology, integral humanity, integral philosophy, integral life, they have all come into existence. But these are not terms which Sri Aurobindo has used. He has used the word integral yoga. But we may say that integral health draws itself from the truths revealed by Sri Aurobindo on the basis of integral yoga. So, what are these truths? Ordinarily, the components of health, normally we think, is physical health. But we have discovered that physical health is also supported by something in the background, which is the mind. So, physical health and health of the mind, they go together. Our thoughts, feelings, everything has an impact upon the body. Then there is something else which we do not normally take into account, and it is the fuel. The mind and the body both use the same fuel, and that fuel is the life energy. So it's the vital part in us. And then, of course, there is a fourth element which WHO introduced in 1960 with regard to health, and that is the spiritual element. So, if you see the WHO definition, it uses the term physical, psychological, social, and spiritual. It doesn't take into account the word vital, because in WHO definition and in traditional understanding, we don't have such a concept of a vital energy. It's there in the ancient scriptures which talk about prana. So Sri Aurobindo takes that truth, that there is a truth about prana which exists as an independent entity. But conventionally we see body, mind and spirit. So here we have body, mind, vital. Vital is the energy feeder. So we can understand these three elements plus the spiritual and the psychic element. So let's imagine that our whole being is like being means the totality, or system is like a vehicle. So in the vehicle, the outer framework is the body. It is the basis for the traveler to go anywhere. Then the fuel which the vehicle will use is the vital energy. Then the direction, the compass, like a GPS guidance, who is controlling the steering wheel, let's put it like that, is the mind. And who is the traveler? The traveler is the psychic. And where is the psychic leading us? That is the spiritual, the goal towards which it is going. So this way we can understand the totality of a human being. So we have in us the outer framework, the body, and its purpose from the integral health point of view is to be a fit vehicle so that the soul can undertake its journey without obstructions. Because if one is very diseased all the time, malnourished, and the body is weak, then how will it undertake the journey? Lot of energy will be drained into just maintaining the body. Of course, we invest a lot of energy, unfortunately, only on the physical. But even when we don't do so, if the body is sick, then a lot of vital energy goes into simply maintaining the framework of the body. So the framework should be strong, healthy, at the same time supple, because this car has to travel long. As we go further, we understand that this body should also be able to receive the energies which are of a different order from beyond the mind. This is unique to integral health, because in the framework in which Sri Aurobindo puts our journey, our journey doesn't end with mind, and from mind we immediately take to by spiritual people mean a kind of entry into some kind of a nirvana or a state of nothingness. In fact, he says that no, man is a transitional being, and from the mind we have to travel still further. There is a lot of journey to be covered. So when we undertake that journey, the body should be ready and capable of bearing the impact of these forces. So it's not that we have to just remain healthy so that we can do some meditation and then get into a state of nirvana, but also because as we progress, as the body opens to higher and higher energies, it must be able to bear the impact. These energies are very tremendous, much more than the mental energy. We can take an example that we see in monkey, mental energy begins to become active. So what do we see in monkey? Extreme degree of restlessness. And a monkey is curious about anything and everything, because the mental energy has begun to operate. Same thing we see in the animal with vital energy. The moment the vital energy increases, the body has to adapt. Animals are full of extreme vitality. You see from the snake onwards. And so basically it is about All these different layers, they are constantly in a state of dynamic progress, a dynamic exchange, and the body must be able to, the body, mind, vital, the spiritual element which unfolds, and the psychic, they must be in a state of perfect harmony with each other. So we may say integral health by definition is a state of total harmony within and a state of dynamic equilibrium with the environment, because the environment is going to change, and the environment is not just physical environment, it is a whole world of forces of various orders, and to go into that is to go into enormous details. So the body, the mind, the vital, everything has to adapt constantly to the environment, because in ancient times people had this knowledge. So people who took to yoga, they often advise that you stay in a more limited and controlled environment. Even now, to an extent, it is true. While it is true that all life is yoga, but that doesn't mean that we go to crowds, marketplaces, anywhere and everywhere, because unless one is very strongly rooted inside and capable of that kind of a constant adaptation, which is a near impossibility. So it's always advisable to stay in a certain kind of zone, avoid going into certain zones which at this point of time our body will not be able to undertake. In fact, it will be like a mixture, and very often the body and the mind, it's like I take a bath in the morning and then I throw myself into the sewage, and then again I take a bath and again I throw myself into the sewage. So we have to be careful about these things. So the understanding of social, which is used in conventional understanding of health, that health is a include these dimensions, and social is also included. So in integral health we don't use the word social, the word is the environing consciousness. So environing consciousness includes not only the social forces, which means the human beings around us, but many other forces which are all the time impacting. Human beings themselves are a battery of forces. Animals are a battery of forces. Our words spoken are a battery of forces. Our thoughts, feelings, everything is a battery of forces. So integral health takes into cognizance this enormous complex web in which we move and through which we move towards our evolutionary journey. And we have to understand this web, understand its dynamics, and learn to navigate through all this. So integral health means it's like a whole world in its own right. So this is the definition of what is integral health. In integral health, basically we have to constantly strive for a greater and greater harmony with all the things that are within and all the things that are outside. Let me take one example before we come to a close. What harmony means. So when we observe ourselves very closely, we'll see that we carry within ourselves what the mother calls as contradictory wills. So the vital is pulling us in one direction, the mind is pulling us in another, the psychic in another direction, and the body is pretty confused whom it should obey. So we must know that how to harmonize all this. So normally what we do is we don't really harmonize. We start doing this practice of give to what is unto Caesar, and give to what is unto the flesh, give to what is unto the spirit, give to the devil its due. Even there is a saying like that. But what we have to do here is that we have to discover the central will within us, and around that our life must harmonize, because that is the focus. If we don't have the central will, that central will can be discovered only in the psychic being. Normally we operate through the ego operating system. So ego operating system tries to keep everything in balance. It calls it harmony, but it's not harmony. It is a makeshift arrangement. But the true harmony will only come when the psychic being emerges, and then it starts organizing all the different elements of our nature, thoughts, feelings, the vital energy, the physical, the spiritual forces, the environing consciousness and all its impacts. It begins to make a choice on a very different basis altogether, and it starts organizing them around the psychic. Then only we can really find the secret of integral harmony. And in integral harmony lies the secret of integral health. So we have to discover within us the integrating principle, which is the psychic and not the ego. We have to take into cognizance all the different elements of our nature. We have to slowly, by the sustained and persevering will, faith, surrender to the grace, we have to slowly align them. It's a very, very painstaking task. So But as they go out of order, we have to keep on pulling them, keep on aligning them, keep on aligning them. And through this process, we also evolve because we include more elements, we align them. And in the process, as we evolve, we become more and more plastic, supple, and open to the higher forces. And then the harmony, time comes when the harmony becomes automatic. So, how it becomes automatic? Because we are opening to forces of harmony. In other words, where we dwell right now, it is a state of chaos, confusion, and disorder, the zone in which we operate. And there are forces and states of higher consciousness where everything is in a state of smooth, rhythmic, harmonious. So the secret of harmony lies there. But if we remain in this, caught up in this web, where there is constant disorder and confusion, we cannot discover the true harmony. So the person who is a seeker after integral health must find a way to access the forces of a higher order, the forces of a higher harmony. In which case, instead of calling a thing as disease and going to hospital, where we have again, hospitals are very often places where forces of the lower order are completely active with all the formations. Doctors themselves contribute to it. It's full of formations of diseases. Everywhere an occultist can see a disease hanging there like on pegs, and you may walk into a hospital, unwittingly attract it and even pull it on yourself. So instead of doing that, instead of labeling, we have to open to the forces of harmony which are above. So every day we need to do that, and slowly, as a result of these forces of harmony and order which belong to the higher states of consciousness, slowly we'll see that a new equilibrium will be created within us, and we'll move out of the possibility of diseases more and more. So this is in very brief about integral health. It's a very vast subject.